Welcome, everyone, to the IMCA TV DirtCast, Season 2, Episode 6. Jim is here. Jerry is not. Jim, welcome. Welcome to the office.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
No Jerry, though. That's a good thing?
Yeah, always a good thing.
He's probably going to zoom in from a water truck or something. I don't see him missing this.
Oh, shit.
He's busy. He's actually working today.
He's got a race today.
Hey, 1 second here. I forgot something. I like that. You know, usually when I do this from home, I have a little snack.
Oh, yeah, you're
that
always
I like
eating
to eat.
something.
Yeah, so shit, I'm going to go get a snack. I'll be right back.
Oh, God. Who knows what he's up to?
This ain't good.
Yeah, tell me about it.
He literally left. Huh.
So you all settled in Des Moines there, Ryan?
I am settled. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that in our last podcast. It's been like 2 weeks since our last podcast.
It's been a couple weeks, yeah. Weather's been great. It's getting warmer.
Better. I don't know if I would say great.
Oh, it's been perfect at night. If it could be like mid-70s.
What was that?
Uh-oh.
Wow.
I think our guest today is having a malfunction.
He must have fell down.
Jim's back with his snack, huh?
Oh, really, Jim? Why you got to go there?
As we get into racing season, I've decided I want to eat healthier. So my new snack of choice
Really?
is going to be frozen peas.
Frozen peas.
Yeah, why not? I hear good things about those, Brett.
I've melted a few bags of those in the last
I've heard a lot of good
36
things
hours.
about frozen peas.
They say, why are we going to talk about this? Did we talk about this in the last podcast?
I didn't bring it. No, I didn't even know about it
bring this
until.
up at all. I did.
What
wear
about
my,
it?
I did
What
wear
about
my,
it?
my special shirt today in memory of my fatherhood. My What a Dad shirt. 2 favorite things in life: Whataburger, which I do enjoy, and being a dad, which I do enjoy. But
Well, there's still Whataburger.
Yeah, I was going to say, Whataburger's still open.
yes, I can still eat Whataburger, but officially can no longer be a dad.
You know what? It's just kind of a weird vibe here. You got Brett on one side of me, who just did that. Then you got Nate on the other side of us. It's like I'm polar opposite here.
Yeah, ain't no joke. He's spitting out kids at a
Record pace.
At a record pace.
Well, it's nice to see you up on your feet again.
Yeah,
You feeling all right?
I'm feeling fine. It wasn't. I don't know how to describe it.
Painful would be what I would assume.
Well,
Yeah, I think there's that would be one word. Yeah, but
For the record, he told me not to bring it up, so I'm glad you did, Jim.
I didn't bring it up. I just was hungry.
You want some peas?
I've melted a couple of bags of those, and I'm like, after they're like they get mushy after they melt,
Oh, you're talking about the peas. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I couldn't
The
follow
peas.
there.
They get kind of mushy, and I said to Virginia, I was like, what do I do with these now? Just put it back in the freezer? She's like, we aren't going to eat them. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess just throw them in the trash.
Well, look at the bright side. At least Jerry's
But
not
why
here.
peas? Why did they tell you, why peas? Why not just an ice pack? What's the point of the peas? Is because I just don't,
I don't know.
Maybe because it's the smallest vegetable and it's more.
I don't have, why not broccoli?
Are you saying
know,
Brett needs a small?
cauliflower?
Are you saying Brett needs a small vegetable?
You need a small sack instead of a big one, apparently. I don't know. Maybe there's more in there. It's more dense. I don't know.
Yeah, no idea. They
I
actually-
don't have to worry about having one
The
of those.
the
so I don't
doctor's
know.
office actually told me to buy 2 bags of frozen peas and just when one melts, just switch it out with the next one. And I'm like, why do they tell you peas? Why don't they just tell you get an ice pack? But whatever. So yeah,
I think it's more form fitting. Maybe it can.
So much on that. What about Frostbuster?
Yeah,
Speaking of
so that was
frozen
my-
peas.
Speaking of
so that was my excitement for this week, or that's been my excitement for these, or lack of excitement for this week, or future
But
excitement.
there was some excitement last weekend.
Yeah,
a lot
Frostbusters.
of deja vu from Friday to Saturday.
Yeah.
A lot of fast drivers both nights. That
Well, and you know what? They benefited because of
a little bonus money
Brett.
here from Brett.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, I mean the good car counts.
Very
First
good
and
car
foremost,
counts.
at both the Frostbusters, Marshalltown and Boone.
Over 160, I think, at each track.
Yeah,
Something like
160.
that.
I think it was like 166 at Marshalltown and 161 at Boone, but Boone had one less division, so
Right.
there's more cars per division in Boone on Saturday, which is probably a little normal. But Marshalltown had a fantastic turnout, great races.
Track was good both nights too for the first race of the year. It was, really good.
It was. I thought the racetracks, obviously, Marshalltown and Boone are just generally speaking not known for being necessarily rough. You don't, I mean, every place you can tear up cars, but generally speaking, those tracks are not known to get too terribly poor racetrack conditions, even at the beginning of the year. So I went over to Boone, just a short story. I was over in Boone Friday afternoon before Marshalltown. I went over to Boone for a little bit, and I was at the racetrack, and I think I left, this stuff, they just kind of makes me chuckle. I left Boone about maybe 4:30 or so to head back to Marshalltown. And I was talking to Lottie, and he's like, well, I hope Bob gets the water turned on. And I'm like...
Water wasn't even on.
I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. And he goes, well, there ain't no water on. I said, well, where at? He goes, anywhere. I make the whole facility. He's like, no, we don't have no water turned on. I'm like, why not? He goes, well, we had some broken water lines at the concession stand and some other places. So they didn't have the water turned on. This is like 5 o'clock Friday night before Boone's opening Frostbuster the next day, and they had no water at the facility. Still hadn't. I said, well, how do you get the racetrack ready? He said, oh, the racetrack's ready. He said, there's enough moisture in the ground for the track. We got the track ready to go. We just need to put water on it before we can race. And I was like, I just thought that was
crazy to me.
Yeah.
I thought that's kind of what I thought.
It's like a vital part of the process, I thought.
That's what I thought. I thought it was really interesting. Well, like, how do you get a racetrack ready without water?
It's so different because Independence practiced last night.
Yeah.
And, Mike Van Genderen, talking to him, said he couldn't hardly get enough water on the track up there, where you had Boone, that once again they didn't even really put water in, and
they didn't put a drop of water on it.
It was
before Friday night of the Frostbuster.
It was far from dry. Let's put it like that. I don't know if we have anybody we can talk to about that track. Or
yeah, we do have a special guest.
Whoa,
about Boone?
JVan Sickle's your special guest?
No.
Oh,
he's special, but he's not our guest.
Next best thing, right, Tim?
His brother.
That's right.
Tim Ward.
Jerry's brother.
Oh,
yep.
You can hang up on Jim if he says that kind of stuff to you, Tim. You don't have to take it. You don't have to.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and what? Let's talk racetracks then, obviously, Tim. So, what do you think of the tracks on? Let's just start with Marshalltown. What did you think of Marshalltown?
It was pretty racy. It started out pretty dry, kind of what I like, so it didn't hurt my feelings any. But it was still plenty racy.
Where'd you start on in Marshalltown in the feature?
I started fourth.
So outside second row.
Yeah, still able to get her done from there. It was plenty racy. I think a few other guys passed a lot of cars. So
you passed a lot of cars. Put a lot of guys lap down.
Yeah, the car was rolling really good.
What kind of car you got? I'm kind of curious. I don't know if I've ever asked you that. What are you racing for a chassis?
It's a Performer. It's kind of a new deal last couple of years from Precision Performance. So like there's not too many of them out there right now.
Andy builds those things over there then?
Yeah. All four brothers over there are all kind of in on the thing, and it's a big kind of family operation. It's pretty cool.
They're right over there in Tiffin, I think, Iowa City, for those that
yeah,
where Tiffin is.
Oxford area.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, you've been having some pretty good luck in the car this year. Looking at, I mean, down at Kokopah, you won. Was it the second night there?
Yeah. I think I won the first night.
Did you? Was it the first?
He's won 7 of his 14 starts this year.
Wow,
which is just crazy.
It's a good batting average.
That's 50%.
Very good.
That's pretty good.
I mean, because you're racing against some pretty solid competition for the preseason specials, especially out in Kokopah and here for Frostbusters.
So we were able to go down there in November and kind of get some laps on it. It was pretty much new at the time, and kind of break it in. And I was really able to fine tune the car for them tracks down there. That's why I was, just couldn't wait to get out here and get rolling and see how she went around these tracks around here. It's such a different deal out here.
Well, that's that brings up another interesting deal. You're an Arizona guy, from Arizona, but you've migrated up to Iowa to race. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, my dad raced Super Nationals, most of my life growing up, and it was just the thing. It's you got to get to the Midwest and always dreamed about racing Boone and stuff. And yeah, it's just, you got to get out here to race all the good guys and the good tracks and race as much as you can.
Now,
just try to get as much laps as you can get.
Who's your dad again? I don't know if I've ever met your dad.
I don't know. He's old and washed up, right?
I'm glad you said that. I thought you weren't supposed to steal my lines.
Yeah. No, I wish I had a chance to race him, but
he would have wrecked you.
Probably. But he always said that he enjoyed working on the cars more than driving. So.
Well, we joke about it, but we've all been friends with your dad. I mean, for years and years and years, and now you following in the footsteps. It's kind of a neat deal.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's pretty blessed to be able to do what we do.
And they make their way over
and
here.
your mom too.
Yeah.
We can't not talk about your mom.
Yeah, it's a big family deal. I don't know what we would do if it wasn't for this stuff. I think
they
we'd
live
all
out in Arizona, right?
drive ourselves crazy. Yeah, my folks still live out in AZ.
Technically, sorta.
But they still come back quite a bit.
Yeah, my mom's here a lot. She's got a remote job and able to do that. And dad's comes back for the bigger shows and runs a shop in between.
Neat.
Yeah.
So what? Obviously, you're getting ready for tonight, Marshalltown.
Yep. We got tonight, tomorrow, and then Boone Saturday if the weather holds out.
Give us a little bit what you go through here. 5-6 hours before race time? What's kind of
just go over the car, maintenance everything, and all that. Get tires ready to go.
When you dope your tires, do you do it the night before, or is that a day of the race doping process you use?
Well, it's kind of an all-day deal. You guys are interrupting me here, and
I can see the rotisserie going in the background.
He's got an all-day soaker going on over there.
Yeah, he's normally wearing a hazmat suit during the day.
Yeah, that's why I got all the doors open here, kind of let all the fumes out.
Exactly. That stuff's not good for you to breathe in.
That's right.
But you got the good stuff. We've never caught you, so it's got to be the good stuff.
So let's back up to last weekend before we get to talking about any more of the future stuff. So you outside second row, you said started fourth in Marshalltown and won there, and then you went to Boone the next night. I think you started seventh there, if I remember correct.
Yep, that's correct.
And got to the front.
That was
I don't know how
race.
many. Yeah, it was a great
A lot
race.
of slide jobs and a lot
God.
of lead changes. That was a really good race.
Yeah, Jackson sat off and Bernie went at each other pretty good for a lot of laps.
Just normal Boone deal. Just got to get up on the wheel and go. And I kind of had to get to the top early. I can't remember if there was I think there was a yellow that kind of got me on the top side, and then from there on out, me and Logue and Todd Shute were racing for the lead, and it was a lot of fun. We were racing really, really hard.
And clean.
It was running around the top, and that caution came out, and I can't remember who it was.
Jeremy Mills, I think.
That was in third that broke. No, it wasn't Mills that broke. Somebody broke running third, and they stopped kind of coming around the top of four.
Was it Lauritsen?
Might have been.
Lauritsen
Yeah,
was one, and then Mills stopped up there too.
Oh,
They
yeah,
both stopped.
Mills lost the tire. He had that body
Mills
rub,
lost
and
the
then
tire,
Mills actually was turning the fastest laps of the night. On the receivers, MRP, whatever you want to call it, my lap stuff on the transponder. Sorry, Mills was turning fast laps, but I don't know, somebody got into him a little bit, and he was blowing some smoke like he had a tire rubbing or something, and then got a flat left rear and ended his night. But you were running, you were fast in Marshalltown, and I thought you looked extremely fast, at Boone too as well. Coming from seventh and against guys like Shute and Jimmy and some of the guys I think that started ahead of you that know that place pretty well. It's pretty impressive. It's impressive when you got we had about 40 modifieds in Marshalltown and 40 modifieds, a little over 40 in Boone. To win back to back is pretty tough to do in that company.
And actually, he made history. We got Frostbuster records go back to 2001, I think is when it started, 23 years ago. Jeff Schroyer won both Marshalltown and Boone Frost Busters that year. Hasn't been done since until this year.
Me.
Yep. So you're the second one to do it.
Heck yeah. It's cool.
Wow. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yep.
You know, we put up a bonus. I announced that I think it was at Marshalltown on Friday night. I announced if he could win back-to-back, Marshalltown and Boone, you know, we just add, you know, it's $1,000 to win each night for mods. And I said, we just add an extra $1,000 if you can win back-to-back. And, you know, I made that announcement, and then I kind of feel like, well, you know, it's almost like nobody can do that. You know, there's against that those fields. It's, you know, it's kind of a gamble for me to do that kind of stuff, for us to throw up those bonuses like that. And I thought, you know, nobody's going to do that. And then, so when I went to Boone the next day, I just announced at the drivers' meeting, you know, it doesn't matter if you won last night. If you were in Marshalltown racing, we'll pay the bonus if you can win. Whoever wins in Boone on Saturday night, if they raced Marshalltown, they got double the winner's money. So it was an extra $1,000 for the modifieds, extra $750 for the stock cars, an extra $500 for the sport mods and the hobbies. You know, and I was like, and I still thought, well, it's a little bit. I don't know. I didn't want to make it look like I was trying to put up bonuses people couldn't win. You know, so I'm like, well, we'll just add a bonus and it doesn't matter. And I had one guy come up and complain to me, well, we didn't race Marshalltown, and I'm like,
well, should have been there.
Okay, well,
it's not costing you anything, but yeah, you just aren't eligible for the bonus.
He's like, I don't think that's right. You know, and I don't know. I don't. To me, it's like I'd rather put up bonuses and reward the people that were coming regardless. That's the way I look at some of this stuff. You know, and a lot of people will talk purses and what it pays to win and all this other stuff and make up all these, I don't know, put words in our mouths or words in our heads and what our philosophy is on purses, as if no IMCA races pay a bunch of money, when in fact lots of IMCA races and all divisions pay quite a bit of money all year long. But we put up that bonus, and I thought, you know, what are the odds of somebody actually winning both? You know, it was pretty low. Obviously, if you said, well, then you turn around and did it. You know, Tim did it, and then Jervitz won the stock cars. And Brayton Carter won the sport mod. So 3 of the 4 divisions guys did it, you know, which was, I thought was kind of interesting, because I changed it to try to get money to whoever was racing at Marshalltown if they could win in Boone, and then you guys all repeated. In fact, I think the modifieds, the top 3 was the same both nights.
It was, yeah.
And then, you know, you see some tracks do that bonus stuff where a track that maybe on a good night gets 13 cars, but they're going to pay a lot of money if they get 40 or more.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you have good health insurance, because you paid out all that money. You wouldn't have been able to afford your procedure earlier this week.
Well, I haven't paid it out yet. I still got. Hey, it was only a $30 copay, so.
Oh, 15 for each one? Is that how that works? Oh, that's not.
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, in fact, I haven't paid it out yet. We do all our checks on Friday, so I'll probably, I don't know, mail Tim's check tomorrow would be normal. So you'll get it one of these days, Tim. We're not waiting for our broadcast money to.
Well, normally
come in.
It takes.
Give to the races.
It takes about
send it anyway.
5 to 8 weeks to get tire tests back. That's kind of standard operating procedure in racing, I think.
Yeah. No, but you I'm kind of curious. Back to like Marshalltown versus Boone. You win back to back. So tell us as much as you can or you want to. Does Marshalltown and Boone take the same setup to you? Do you change much on your race car from Friday to Saturday night racing those facilities?
I didn't have to this past weekend. Usually it's a little different. Marshalltown's a lot more sweeping, but honestly, I didn't change a single thing. I left it exactly the same as Friday night. It looks like JVan Sickle's trying to join the call here.
Oh, we don't.
We can take care of him. Don't worry about it.
Just cancel that.
Hit the big red X.
Somebody text him and tell him to leave us alone for a little while.
But I was pretty tight at Boone in the feature. I needed a few yellows for the track to kind of change and slick up for me, I think, and it came to me. It was rolling pretty good at the end of the race.
How much does your race car change when you say, tight, it was a little tight or it loosened up for you? How much does your race car change in a course of a 20 or 25 lap race in a feature? Does it change a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot. I think it's usually more just the track changes a lot. It seems like us modifieds really change a racetrack in 20 laps. And I mean, the fuel load burn off, being on methanol, change, we'll go through like 10 gallons of fuel or so in a 25 lap race. So that's a lot of weight that you lose in the back of the car. But I'd say for places like Boone and Marshalltown, it's more the racetrack that changes.
So as the track's changing and as you're burning off a little fuel, do you compensate for that but with how much brake you got in the car or anything like that? Are you on the brakes much? Do you trail brake a lot? I mean, what do you do as a driver to change as the track's changing? What can you do? Because we really don't allow any other adjustments other than the brake adjuster. So it's not like you can change much. But
yeah, a lot of guys ask me about like how much rear brake and stuff I run, or if I ever go to front brake. I mean, for me, I could take that adjuster out of the car and throw it away. I mean, I go all rear and I never leave it, or I never mess with it. And, but I do trail brake a lot. A lot of times when we go green, I don't even really lift out of the gas all the way until a yellow comes out or so. I mean, it's just, something I've gotten used to with the pedals. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of start driving a little straighter once it slicks up. But I'd say I haven't really had to change a whole lot. This car's been rolling pretty good for me.
And when you make those, when we had that caution come out again when Laritzen broke going on around Ford, we stacked everybody back up, and then on the moves that you're making on a racetrack, like when you go to the bottom and you make the slide, is it something that you can tell going in that you're going to clear him? Is it something that, okay, I got to give him room because I don't think I'm going to clear him? Or is it one of those deals like, I just don't give a shit, I'm going to the top?
Just shut my eyes.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes when you're really getting after it, and sometimes you're not there to make friends, but
so you don't give a shit is what you're saying.
Usually if I'm close enough to them going down the straightaway, and if I bonsai'd into the corner, there's a good chance I'll clear them, or they'll at least see me coming and know what's about to happen, and they'll turn down the track and cross over. And I feel like I'm definitely not the best at slide jobs. There's guys that are really good at parking their car right in front of you to where you can't cross over or whatever. But yeah, a lot of times it's kind of one of them last second, millisecond decisions that you make when you're sliding across the racetrack to either stay in the fuel or lift and start hitting the brakes to try to stop the slide so you don't hit the guy.
You got a pretty good reputation, though. I mean, no one thinks of you as a rough or dirty driver. I think they know if you're coming that they know you're not going to make contact or initiate contact. So.
Give us a name of somebody who's really good at parking in front of you.
I think one of the guys that are like the best ever at sliders is Jordan Grabowski.
See, he did get mentioned on the podcast today. There's your mention, Jordan.
Yeah, well, he's a good racer.
You talking clean or contact? I mean, are you doing no contact?
I'm not saying contact. I'm just saying that he's really good at like making you think he's gonna slide in front of you, and then all of a sudden he'll just stop, and he just ruined your chance at trying to cross him over.
Kills your momentum on your retaliation or move.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call
it. Then there he goes. He just takes off from you.
He thinks ahead of your thinking ahead, probably. Yeah, I mean he's
it's fun to watch. Those after that restart when you had you and Logue and Shoot, it was fun to watch that 3 or 4 laps where you guys were trying to get it all sorted out and get back in line around the top. It made for some really entertaining racing. I thought it made for a very good modified race. I thought. I like seeing cautions like that. See, as an official, I'm also a race fan. I don't want to see shit tore up unnecessarily. And sometimes restarts can end that way. Double file depending on the track conditions and what's going on. But Boone usually has a little bit. It's usually a little bit of room at Boone where people can get around the bottom or whatever. On some of those restarts and make some of those restart moves kind of stick. But to me, I thought it made for a better race when that caution come out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was pretty pretty pumped up when I got out of the car. And, you know, sometimes the guy doesn't have to work that hard during the race to get the lead, and that made it a lot of fun.
Would you still would have got it, though, if that caution wouldn't have come out, wouldn't you have?
I don't know. Those two guys were really good, and I was pretty hooked up. I was kind of bogged down and just a little too tight for the way the racetrack was, where just the yellows kind of helped me out. I think if it played out, I don't think I win the race, but sometimes it's better to be lucky.
Yep.
So if you had to pick, sticking on racetracks, if you had to pick your favorite racetrack that you've ever raced at, what would it be?
Man, I don't know. People ask me that all the time. I don't think I have a favorite. I have tracks that I just like to go to that are a lot of fun. Marshalltown's always been up there on the top of the list. I really like Spencer.
Jerry's ass now.
Clay County. I really like Deer Creek. Boone's a lot of fun. It just depends, but I don't really have a favorite.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Lottie ran Marshalltown for many years, and again, those facilities are kind of similar in size. Do they take the same gear? Do you run the same gear at both tracks?
No. I'm pretty different from both.
Gotcha. So they're similar, but yet they're different, and even like Lottie has told me that for years, and, I come from the guy that owns Boone Speedway. He said, Marshalltown's a better shaped racetrack. Marshalltown has got the potential to have better races at times than Boone, because of the way the track is shaped. And, they're just slightly different, but they both, it's weird because they're both pretty high banked, I would say, generally speaking. Yeah. And their sizes are similar, but they're just shaped different enough to where the racing is just a little different.
Yeah, Marshalltown's a lot more momentum. I think that's what really changes the gearing there, even though it's pretty close to the same size. You just don't ever really slow down at Marshalltown, and Boone's that paper clip where you're going in and out and you kind of stop and go. So you need that more gear to get out of the corner.
So back to your racing career then. So what'd you race for modifieds?
Mini sprints.
Okay. When did you start racing? How old were you when Rick actually let you race a car? Or when Amy actually let you race a car?
Well, go-karts when I was like 4 or 5, just kind of like a lot of kids out there. I think I started racing mini sprints maybe at like 10 or 11. And I've been in a modified for a long time. I've been in a modified since I was 13. That's when I first got in one.
What are you, 29 now? 28, 29?
29, yeah.
So it's been a modified more than half his life.
Wow. Yeah,
it's
been a very long time.
Modified win at?
I think Canyon Speedway.
That would have been my guess.
I think that would have been like 08, maybe.
Do you have a win that sticks out as your most emotional, or just the one that mattered the most?
The first time I won an A qualifier at Super Nationals and made the big show always stands out because my dad tried for so long and was very close, so that was really big.
That was a neat
really
deal.
Big for us.
Yep, I remember that. That was a very neat deal. See the emotion that not only you had, but your dad had. Was very neat.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's weird the how the wins stick out. Which one, Matt? I don't know how many wins he even has.
I don't know career-wise.
I think he's got like
you know how many career wins
900
you actually
or something like that.
900
in a mod, Tim. Do you keep track?
I think the last time I seen it, it was in the 60s somewhere.
So you don't keep track. You don't have like a wall where it's got
a tote board behind it
in the back that's got like marks on it.
No. I think my grandma actually keeps a lot of notes and writes down every race and where I start and all that stuff. And my dad's pretty good at that stuff too. But I think every time we ask and we're curious about it, we just call Virginia at IMCA, I believe.
We should have checked who's got more feature wins, you or Rick.
My dad does.
Does he?
Yeah, he's 98.
He's too short.
I think Jerry always calls him Mr. 98.
That's funny.
That is good.
Yeah.
So you should be passing him later this year. The rate you're going this year.
Hopefully. That's the plan. Hopefully.
Well, you're certainly having a special season so far, and
thank you.
No doubt that it's going to keep up. It's been fun following your career. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I appreciate it.
So tell us about this. Tell us about the Tim Ward shirt that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is wearing, because we've all seen it on Facebook now, because so many people have shared it. I mean, you're making Dale Earnhardt Jr. famous,
right?
Wearing that shirt,
right.
You know.
I didn't really realize who Dale Earnhardt Jr. was till I saw him in a Tim Ward shirt.
So how did he get his? Did he buy that shirt? How did he get your shirt? How'd that happen?
No, we sent it to him.
Gotcha.
Did he request it?
No, me and him used to play video games a lot together back in the day, and we follow each other on Instagram and stuff, and that's kind of how we communicate sometimes. And I know he's an old school guy, and that's a old school throwback shirt from one of my dads and from '89, and he thought it was cool, and we've sent him shirts in the past, and he thought it was neat and told me to send him one. So I didn't think I'd ever see him wearing it, but
when was that picture taken?
It's on, I think, Amy Earnhardt's story. I think is when I first seen it.
Nice.
Yeah. So somebody just screenshotted that. But
yeah, that's interesting. So
yeah,
video games. Do you do a lot of simulator stuff? Do you race? Do you do that?
I used to. I don't do it much anymore. We're so busy anymore racing. But I mean, and that's what's kind of funny. Everyone kind of thinks when we tell them about it that we sim raced together, but we actually played like Battlefield together. You know, like shoot 'em up games, FPS type games.
What's the one? Call of Duty kind of stuff.
Fortnite or something.
Fortnite,
I used to stay up
Fortnite
in the summertime. I used to stay up till like 4 a.m. with him.
So how do you know it's him? Does he actually play video games as Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Yeah, I mean his gamer tag isn't that, but when we were hanging out in TeamSpeak, I mean his name's Dale Jr. in there, and like TJ Majors is in there, and I mean there's the whole thing is full of people, NASCAR drivers and stuff, and crew guys and whoever that are into gaming, and his old longtime gaming buddies from back in the day, because he's always been kind of a gamer guy.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I mean back in the day when he wasn't on social media as much, I mean he was you know a lot of people didn't know much about him, and he was really big into gaming.
Yeah, I used to really be big into gaming. Atari Pong.
Pac-Man.
Yeah,
I like Pitfall.
That's a good one too.
I was a Pong guy.
Dale Jr. has a podcast, doesn't he? Like the second most listened to podcast next to ours.
Behind ours.
Yeah. He does have a podcast. I like listening to some of his podcasts.
Yeah,
he's one of the few I listen to be quite honest. I'll listen to some of his stuff. He has some very interesting guests on his podcast, I think.
I usually only listen to one other podcast.
Yeah. We know.
NSFW. We can't talk about that here, can we? You getting another fuel delivery, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is the tire dope coming in late. Is that what it is?
Now, do you get your fuel when they deliver? Does it have the shit already in it, or do you have to add that yourself?
Yeah, we got to pay extra for the good stuff. It keeps telling me that Jerry Van Sickle's trying to call.
Oh, yeah. Jerry.
Yep, there he is.
He's just poor Jerry.
Nobody will talk to Jerry.
Uh-oh.
Am I in this? Am I in the second most listened to podcast?
Who invited you?
Jerry from Urbandale. You're up.
You're on the line.
We were talking
Oh, hey!
Kind of looks like
Yes,
Larry.
Jim, are you coming tonight?
Kind of looks like Larry the Cable Guy, there, doesn't it? Get her done. Yeah, I'll be there.
Brett, are you coming tonight?
No, I'm not.
Boy, we talk about a step down from Tim Ward.
I was really hoping if you were going to be here tonight, Brett. We're a little short on frozen peas in the concession stand, and I was going to ask if you could bring some.
Aren't you funny?
That's just nuts.
Oh, aren't you funny, Ryan?
All of a sudden, he's blocked.
That's the way in a perfect world. That's the way it ought to be.
Do we have you to thank for that, Tim?
We owe you.
No, I don't know what's going on here. He must be listening in somehow.
I don't know how.
He's in a water truck in Marshalltown, probably.
Poor Jerry can't feel left out ever.
No.
Hurts his feelings. He's sensitive like that.
Jerry doesn't like attention, though.
No, he doesn't.
No, he's not a guy that.
No, I was Nate just said, "Hey, you want to surprise these guys that they're doing a podcast?" I said, "Might as well. I'm not doing anything today."
We knew that.
We knew that. And come about feature time, we'll really know that.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate the vote of confidence.
Anytime.
Tim was pretty fast here last weekend. I mean, Tim, you had a good weekend last weekend.
Yeah, no, Toby did a good job last week prepping the track.
I tell you what, that vice president of operations over there, he is the greatest. Ryan Clark. I can't believe you still call him executive secretary, Jim.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Are you in a water truck, Jerry, or what are you doing?
I'm actually still in a water truck right now.
Still in a water truck? I think you're full of it.
Yeah, I've been at it since 5:30 this morning.
Man.
While Jim was resting his sweet eyes, I was up thinking not about.
Hey, at 5:30, I was up getting ready for this podcast.
Tim was already up to open his tire, so yeah, they all got early starts today.
Yep.
Let's get back to talking to Tim.
Yeah, I like Tim.
How did Jerry try to ruin our podcast?
Hijack our show again.
Jerry, you can listen, but just shut up for a while, okay?
I don't think so.
All right.
All right. So Tim, so are you gonna?
Whoa! We got a special guest.
What?
A special guest.
Yep, that's all, Mom.
You gonna race mods forever? You have what do you think, Tim? You ever want to go super late model racing or anything like that? What
sprint car racing?
Well, I think super late models has always been my dream, I'd say. So you never know. Never know what could pop up.
You know, obviously Ricky, another Arizona native, has made the jump from IMCA mod racing to super late model racing, and he's done it pretty successfully. I would probably, in the ranks of IMCA mod racers, he's probably one of the more successful ones that have ever made a jump like that I can think of.
Immediately.
He's just a fantastic racer, but, obviously, your way around a racetrack too. You've been doing it for a long time. Are you going to race mods forever? Do you want to go super late model racing? What stops you? Is it a budget thing?
Yeah, the budget's pretty much is what stops a guy. I mean, we're pretty much limited here. We're capped out right here. I can't complain. We're still doing what we love. But yeah, that late model deal is just so crazy. It would, it just, the right opportunity would have to pop up, and that's kind of what happened for Ricky. It was dominating in modifieds, and they got a hold of him.
Well, you're not far behind. Trust me.
Yeah, I think I saw. Didn't I see a post? Didn't Kenny Wallace say something on Facebook about you should be racing other things? Did I see that on Facebook one time?
Yeah, we were parked near each other at Kokopaw in the wintertime, and he came over and wanted to do a cool little video with me, and
that's right.
Try to get my name out there some more.
Yep.
I mean, you got Kenny Wallace pimping you. You got Dale Earnhardt Jr. wearing your gear, and you got your mom doping your tires. You got it going on.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's a family deal. I mean, she's got the formula dialed in.
Well, she did it for Rick for a number of years, so maybe we ought to ask her how tire doping has progressed through the years from what she used to do.
Yeah, she's the one. I mean, I think she's on the phone with Bloomquist once a week. So
I heard Bloomquist picked up another part-time gig.
So let's talk about, you mentioned a little bit funding and sponsors and stuff. So sponsor wise, you have any sponsors you want to take the chance to at least thank for the support of what you're doing? And again, you're kind of like a family operation is the way I would view it, and maybe I'd not correct on that, but you know, I mean, funding and racing at any level, I don't care if it's a sport compact and IMCA racing all the way up to Formula One racing, funding for and sponsors for every division, every racer is important. Do you have anybody you want in particular you want to thank?
Yeah, all the guys behind me here, it's definitely a family deal. I mean, my folks work really hard, and you know, Toby K's Hideaway and Precision Performance. You know, his car has been really good, and we're able to win some races here. Got to thank them guys. Farley's, Starum Construction, Tire Demon, helps me get that tire work done really easily. Finish Line Body and Paint, K1 Race Gears, Bell, Peak Decals, Dynamic Drive Lines. I mean, there's, you know, it's not like, you know, every little bit helps, you know, and they're all just really good people that help me out, you know.
I think one of the things, you know, looking at your Facebook page and stuff that you do better than most is the way you use your social media to interact, you know, for your sponsors and that's something, you know, I think obviously you do very well that, you know, it's changed so much over the years. You have to do stuff like that. Take advantage of every opportunity that's out there.
Yeah. I mean, they're your partners, you know, and you got to try to give them as much exposure as you can. You know, and they really like that. And, they like the name on the car and seeing it run up front and on TV and all that stuff. So, I mean, honestly, I don't even run my racing page. My mom and my sisters help with that, so they do a good job with that. And I try to do as much as I can on my page as well.
So when's Dad coming out next? You got your mom there now. When's Rick coming?
He's coming at the end of this month.
Nice.
The 20th. He's coming. Yeah, next Friday. Yep.
And he's still running is it Mesa Muffler? Am I right on that?
Yep.
Still do that?
Yep. Run the old shop, 6-bay muffler shop back home.
I think one of the last times it's been a while since I've been down in that Phoenix area. I've had, you know, I went down there for some meetings. I've been to Canyon. But one of it's weird, the things that I remember about my trips, one of the things that I did when I was down there by myself one day is I drove around Phoenix. And I drove down to Casa Grande because I'd never been there. This is a long time ago. I drove down to Casa Grande, and then I drove over to see where Mesa Muffler was out because I was bored and one morning and I had nothing to do. Sit in the hotel room. I was like, the few things that I knew about Phoenix, I'm like, well, I wonder where Mesa Muffler's at. Oh, there it is. I wonder where Casa Grande. I drove around one morning in Phoenix. And that was one of the places I just never forget that. I was every time I think of your dad, I think of my trip driving past Mesa Muffler for no reason whatsoever.
I can remember sitting in the hotel reading the brochures in there with tourist attractions for Mesa, Arizona. And Mesa Muffler was one of the top tourist attractions in Mesa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to go see old Richard Ward.
Oh, yeah. So you drive the same race car when you're racing in Phoenix. You got the same car down there. You don't have two cars in different places or anything like that, do you?
No. I drive the whole rig down in the fall.
How long a drive is that?
It's like 24, 25. I split it up in 2 days. I pretty much drive like 15 or 16 hours the first day and then finish it off the next day.
Yep. Where do you like living better? Iowa or Phoenix? Iowa or Arizona?
Shoot, I don't know.
Time of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it depends time of year, right? It's really neat to live back home with all the amenities and cool places you can go to out there. But I love the small town lifestyle out here as well.
Yeah, there's probably just crazy amounts of things to do in Phoenix. You know, I mean, I couldn't.
Yeah.
What about Mom? Where does she like better, Iowa? Or...
I think she'd rather be in Iowa.
And then, you know, the one other question, you know, we talk a lot about your racing and that, but please tell me, I know you got your, you know, the racing bug from your dad. Please tell me you're not a sick Green Bay Packer fan like your dad.
Hey, be nice.
Yeah.
Please tell me.
I'm definitely a Packer fan.
Oh, God.
I enjoy going up to the games. That's they're a blast to go to. I love Green Bay. I call it God's country.
A game at Lambeau Field, I've been to 2 of them. A game
I
at
never
Lambeau
have.
It's a cool
Field
experience.
is a pretty damn cool experience. I've went twice. Back when I got invited to go to Wisconsin to football games.
You don't get invited anymore.
No, I don't get tickets no more. I got cut off for some reason. But yeah, it's a cool place, and Packers fans are crazy. You know.
Oh yeah.
Most
Well, just that whole town. They've built up a lot of neat stuff around there, and just all the streets are full of people and tailgating and all the cool bars and stuff to go to. And every single one of those bars got bands going, and it's heck of a party. It's way bigger than Super Nationals. It's nuts.
Well, of course, we could only wish the Super Nationals was as big as a Packers game. That'd be awesome.
I had to throw that in there for my dad.
But
Yeah.
Well,
we sure appreciate the time.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on here, guys.
Yeah, good luck tonight. Maybe you can
Been
get
fun.
another 2 wins this weekend, 2
That's
or 3.
right.
I hope so. I appreciate it.
yep. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us this morning. Again, congratulations on your wins so far this year. Batting,
50,
Batting
500.
500, which is pretty damn good.
It's in the
Hopefully
Hall
you
of
can
Fame.
Continue that for the rest of the season. Want to thank you for
Well, thank
racing IMCA and wish you the best of luck this year. And tell your dad we said hi, and
Yeah, that's right.
tell Amy I
I
said
will.
hi.
I will. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tim.
Yep. See ya.
That's neat. That's neat. We were talking about Wisconsin. I went up to Beaver Dam, a newly sanctioned track. Tuesday night, they're going to run on Tuesdays up in Beaver Dam, and wow, that's all I can say.
I hear that's a nice facility.
Oh
up
my
there.
God! It's one of those deals. You kind of drive by it on your way up to Green Bay and what have you. You really can't see it from the road. You can see some of the light towers, but it's like you pull into the pit gates and it's like, holy shit! That's all you can say really when you see that place. Very nice, and they had a great field of cars for weekly show. Started at 6:30. The races were done by 9. I mean, it was a great show. Track was perfect. It's a 3rd-mile track, kind of a little bit like Eagle, and
from our standpoint, it's in a good location.
Yeah.
You've got an hour and a half to the east, roughly. You got the Green Bay market, very heavily populated with IMCA racers, and then you come back to the west to the Dubuque area where
hour and a half once again.
Yeah, so it's kind of in the middle on a Tuesday night. It's kind of a good setting, and they had pretty good car counts.
Yep.
I've never been to Beaver Dam. I know exactly where it's at because I've drove up whenever you go to Green Bay or 141 or any of those places from here. You drive right past the place, but I've never actually been at the facility.
Yeah, I was.
Heard it's beautiful though.
It just. I pulled in that gate and it was like, wow, you know what I mean?
When I went to the trade show up in Luxembourg in February, I think their booth, which was right next to our booth, it was the busiest of any booth all day. There were a ton of drivers over there, most of them IMCA drivers, and they were excited. They were looking forward to, even though it's a Tuesday night, if you don't know unless you try it. And the feedback even before the season started was very positive. So I think only good things to come up there.
Yeah, and talking to all the local drivers, I mean, it's one of those tracks that's been running IMCA rules.
Right.
And, I think they appreciated the fact that they finally sanctioned and got them on board. And so they were, happy with the track's decision. And it was one of those tracks you walk away from and go, you know what? I didn't hear any negatives the whole time I was here. Nobody bitched about the track. Nobody bitched about the show. I mean, it was all a positive experience. And, once again, the staff up there, Scott Boyd, the owner, and Carolyn, who we've dealt with, I mean, they just do an awesome job up there. And then Marshalltown, you had your hands full a little bit after the races, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, you missed some of the modified feature, didn't you?
Yeah. What were you doing?
I did. I didn't watch any of the mod feature. Well, we had some issues with tech inspection in the stock car class in Marshalltown, where unfortunately we had the winner and I think it was first and third. I think got disqualified.
First and third, first and fourth, something.
For violating the rear shock rule, essentially the droop rule. We have essentially a droop rule in stock cars, and that's the way I describe it when people ask me in person or when we're enforcing it in tech. You've got to have 4.5 inches of shock, a minimum. Well, let me think how they said it. A maximum of 4.5 inches. Maximum 4.5 inches of shock shaft sticking out of the shock on the rear of your IMCA stock car. So it's for us at IMCA, it's a droop rule. We can get into the reasoning behind it, and we can talk about that stuff forever, but I don't think we need to go down that road again. The reality is if, we've got a rear deck height in stock cars, and if a car's sitting super high, one of the first things that we tell our tech inspectors to look at, one, you can measure the deck height, but if it's super high, you also need to look at the rear shocks, because, there's a good possibility if the racer is not paying attention to what he's doing, and he's getting the back of the car real high, that he's violating the shock rule. It's easy to violate the shock rule, which is why we allow the shocks in the back of a stock car to be adjustable to get the, if you put a bunch of wedge, or however you want to say it, in the car, and don't violate the rear deck height rule of a stock car. You can adjust the shocks and still maintain the shock rule, which is a maximum of 4.5 inches. So you can just crawl under the car and stick a tape measure from the bottom of the shock body to the jam nut of the shock, and it's 4.5 inches. And anything more than 4.5 inches in length sticking out at rest with the car sitting in tech with the racer, let's just say on the scales or coming off the racetrack, anything that's more than 4.5 inches is going to get you disqualified. And we had that situation present itself at Marshalltown at the Frostbuster for 2 of the top 4. So it's just something that if you're a stock car competitor, you should pay attention to, because it's very easy for us to inspect. It's a very valid rule, and it's one that we're going to continue to enforce. We don't give grace periods on things like that. So if you're not paying attention, you can actually get yourself into some trouble with the rear shock rule, which is what happened. David sent me speaking of rear suspensions and stock cars, David sent me a pretty lengthy email about stock car rear springs, and he's got some good pictures. I didn't get this stuff uploaded to Nate, but we'll save this for the next podcast, and we'll talk about rear springs in stock cars. We've talked about this for a while. IMCA stock car racing has got a lot of momentum. We're seeing, let's look at Batesville. Last weekend, was it their,
first one, and
Batesville's had 21 stock cars at their first. Is that their first weekly show?
That was their first Saturday weekly show.
You got almost 24 IMCA stock cars at Batesville on their weekly show at their opener. So you've got places like Batesville adding them. We're seeing some very solid stock car counts at any place that's given the division a fair shake. So I would, anticipate, and we anticipate whenever you get more and more guys racing stock cars. What the hell is Jerry doing? More and more guys racing stock cars, you're going to have more creativity when it comes to interpreting the rules. Rear springs in particular with stock cars is something that everybody needs to pay attention to. You need to pay attention to the shock rule on the rear of the stock car, and you need to pay attention to the spring locations. You cannot move the springs left to right on an IMCA stock car. They have to essentially be in the OEM location, left to right on the car. You can move them front to back a little bit, but not very much. And David sent me a pretty lengthy email with some pretty good pictures, and we'll talk about this next time. We're just not gonna budge on these issues when it comes to stock car racing. We're not gonna loosen up the rules anymore. We're not gonna let the springs get moved all over the place. We're not gonna let the shocks get crazy in locations and start trying to turn these things into super late models. Stock car racing is really good right now. It's got a lot of momentum. There's a lot of people that love racing them. There's a lot of people that love watching them race. And so,
ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it isn't broke, don't fix it. So we're going to do our best to maintain what we think is one of the best set of, obviously, dirt track race car rules in the country, and that's IMCA stock cars.
Not the most copied set of.
They are probably one of the most copied set of rules as well. So, which reminds me too, I think we should touch a little bit about stock cars bodies as well. There's a lot of creativity going on with the bodies.
Boy.
We had some issues with the pandemic with some supply issues on bodies, fenders, quarter panels. the OEM replacement supply was depleted or interrupted would probably be the best way to describe it with the pandemic. And in that interruption, we softened a little bit on bodies on stock cars because people just couldn't buy them. So people started making front fenders and started making rear quarter panels. They've always been allowed to make the door. The door is pretty easy to make in a way that kind of looks like an OEM door. Front fenders and rear quarter panels is a whole nother subject. If you're going to actually make an OEM replacement door or OEM replacement quarter panel and fender for a stock car or a hobby stock, if you're going to make it a true OEM replacement, you need an English wheel to do that. Not many of our racers are using English wheels. They're using sheet metal brakes, and you can tell when they're made on a sheet metal brake, and they are not legal to be made on a sheet metal brake like that. You've got to maintain the curvature of the front fenders and the curvature of the rear quarter panel on a stock car and on a hobby stock. The interruption or the supply chain issues that we had is no longer exists. You've got option as a stock car racer to put OEM replacement fenders and quarter panels on your stock car. There's no reason for them to be made with a sheet metal brake. And when we see guys making them with sheet metal brakes, we're going to start writing deficiency slips for it.
I don't think we want slab type bodies.
It just has a tendency. People get, this is an interesting subject. It's not the first one that's built that's the problem. It's usually the last one that's built, because there's always another one that's been built. And it's easy for these cars to turn into what I would consider to be like a pro stock. Some people call them super streets or super stocks or street stocks.
West Coast.
You hear them called a lot of different things across the country.
They look like a shop class project.
They have a
freshman shop class.
They can very quickly not look like what we would consider to be an IMCA stock or a true OEM replacement body. So
hence the name stock.
It is going to be a focus of our attention this year. The front fender doesn't make the race car necessarily any faster. It's not like a rear shock rule or a rear suspension rule or spring rule or something like that that's performance related. But, if you're making your fenders on a sheet metal brake,
you will hear from Dave sometime.
You're eventually going to get a deficiency slip for it. So I would highly recommend the guys that are racing stock cars and hobby stocks that they actually follow the OEM or the OEM replacement body rules. It's very easy to do. The components are available, and that's just going to be the position that we maintain on it. Yep. The other issue, again, I'm probably talking too much about rules. The other issue I want to mention.
Don't wake me up yet.
It's kind of important.
I'm getting my REM sleep right now.
Frames. Shut up, Jerry. Frames. Metric frames. A lot of people are asking, what's going to happen with metric frames? Are we going to allow tube frames or something like that? And no, we're not. We're not going that direction. We're not going aftermarket fabricated 2x3 steel frame rails in IMCA stock car or IMCA hobby stock or even IMCA Southern Sport Mods. There's no need for that. We feel that the market is going to address it just like it did in the modified division, where we had an OEM replacement Chevelle frame that ended up being produced and maintained the rules for us. We feel that the same thing is going to happen in the metric frame. So we are not going to make any hasty decisions and change our frame rules in stock cars, hobby stocks, or Southern Sport Mods and get away from the metric frame. We think the G-body frame is going to be readily available for years to come. And eventually we think that's going to play out in a way that will prove our point.
Yes, and be beneficial for the sport.
So that's enough about stock car rules and rules in general. And
speaking of one other thing here, Saturday night, Crystal Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Will be the first time in 37 some odd years.
Close to 40.
That Ron Flynn will not be promoting the track.
You think he'll be there?
He'll
be there?
I'm willing to bet he'll be there.
He doesn't know what else to do on Saturday night.
Exactly.
Crystal has been sanctioned since as long as I've been here.
It's been early, mid-'80s, I think.
Yeah. Before any of us.
We might have talked about this before, Crystal Motor Speedway back when I started here in the late, in 97, the late 90s, Crystal, with the tracks in Michigan, a lot of them dropped their sanction, dropped the IMCA sanction.
Thought they had a better way.
They didn't like the motor claim.
Didn't sending the money to Iowa.
They didn't like sending the money to Iowa.
Money Collecting Association.
I guess the Iowa Money Collecting Association.
How'd that work for them?
Well, it didn't end well for modified racing in Michigan taking that route. I mean, Michigan Modified Association has come and gone. It's no longer exists.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence. Rest in peace, the Michigan Modified Association. They went UMP mod racing for a little bit in Michigan.
Moment of silence.
Also needs a moment of silence.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. UMP mods in Michigan. And it's kind of went full circle back to IMCA mod racing, and Crystal Motor Speedway has been there through all of that.
Yep, Ron Flynn.
And I guess that's my point with this, Ron has been very loyal to IMCA. The racers who supported mod racing in Crystal for 30-some years have been very loyal to IMCA. There's our national championship at 1 year was won out of that
Rick
state.
Stout.
With Rick Stout. You've got AJ Ward winning the region quite often, out of the state of Michigan. Mod racing, IMCA mod racing is kind of making a resurgence in Michigan.
Absolutely. I mean, we picked up a couple more tracks up there. Merritt Speedway sanctioned, and you got Matt up at Silver Bullet.
A lot of good racing in Michigan.
Absolutely,
a lot of good
racers in Michigan.
Yeah, and Crystal will be on IMCA TV.
Yeah, the new owner promoters up there, I mean, are doing a fantastic job. I mean, they
want to do right by everyone.
Yes,
too.
and obviously they have big shoes to fill, but they're taking the steps, and it's just exciting. I know they had a practice where I can't quite remember, but I think normally it's about a 30 to 40 car practice. They have up there. I think they had over 130 cars up
practice.
There. I think they sold out every pit spot up there, and that's almost 180, 90 pit spots. I mean, it's going to be very exciting to watch, Brian and the new crew up there take over what Ron has built and, keep it rolling and expand it a little bit.
Yeah, we have to thank Ron for his support for
always. And one other thing real quick, side note, it's Ron's birthday today.
Every day is
Ron's birthday.
Happy birthday to Ron.
But, hey, speaking of birthdays, it is Johnny Sadoff's birthday today, I was informed.
Johnny the Jet.
I think he's 65 today.
Is he?
I believe that's his age, 65.
Come on now.
Hey, guys.
Johnny the Jet.
My supervisor just pulled up here real quick, and I'm going to kind of see if you guys know that guy.
Grief.
Jesus.
Supervisor, the Iron Man of Marshalltown, Daryl DeFrant, has given me the look 72 times and said, "Is this a Monday Super Nationals drivers meeting? Is Brett going to stop talking?"
Whatever.
Oh, God. Jerry's got to get a new stick.
Daryl DeFrance.
Is there a Dairy show there? Is there a Dairy show there tonight? Is that why Daryl's there?
He's going to keep that streak alive. No, he pulled up here and said, "What are you doing just standing around doing nothing?" I said, "We're just doing a podcast."
Well, Daryl, that's typical of Jerry, doing nothing. I mean, what did you really expect?
Jerry,
to pull up there and see Jerry working his ass off?
Daryl's his hired man, apparently. Jerry's not going to work on the racetrack.
Yeah, Daryl, that's what happens. Daryl just pulled up here, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Here, hang on, don't go anywhere."
This is a milestone podcast.
This isn't live.
With two guests.
Ain't watching this live, Daryl. You're okay.
Yeah, it's good to see Daryl again, and I'm sure we'll run into him a couple times this summer.
Yes, good. Okay. Keep up the good work.
We appreciate it, Daryl.
So Jerry, how many how many stock cars are you gonna get tonight? What are you thinking? Put you on the spot.
More than two, less than $1 million.
You really think you'll get more than two?
I'm hoping. There's already like 7 from Texas here right now. So Muirhead, Williams, Billy Best.
Yeah, I saw. I had seen on Facebook where some of those guys were making. I assume they were when they say they were going north. I assume they were going to Marshalltown.
Eagle did cancel for the weekend.
Did they?
Yeah. Eagle did just cancel for Friday, Saturday, the Frost Busters.
You know what that'll mean? Jordan Grabowski will be in Marshalltown.
Podcast, go live right now so everybody knows to get over here.
Jordan Grabowski will be in Marshalltown too. Then I would assume.
I mean,
5,000 to win.
His name's a little goofy to spell, but I can write it on the check. I mean, thank goodness for my race.
So who's your pick to win, Jerry? Do you know? Do you have one?
Ooh,
feels like we're talking to Vince McMahon here. WWE. Who's going to win?
Let's just let's instead of a name.
Who's going to scripted here? Daryl DeFrance. He's coming out of retirement. One weekend only. Daryl DeFrance is going to park it in Victory Lane tonight or this weekend.
Breaking news.
Let me ask you this: will a Marshalltown regular stock car racer win that show, or will an out-of-state guy win it?
Yeah. What'd you say, Daryl?
Yeah. Marshalltown regular.
Daryl's going to the Marshalltown regular, and I will say
Marshalltown regular is going to win that.
I think he's going with a 99.
There's a good opportunity. We could. I mean, you've been here, Brett, and Jim's been not here for a while, and Ryan comes over once in a while. But I mean, the caliber of our local stock car racers here. I mean, they've got a shot at they got a shot at that big prize. I mean, that watching practice last night, the locals were quick. I mean, I watched some of those, Shelby Williams turn the quickest lap. He's feeling pretty confident. But, I did.
That could be the dark
horse. At the end of the day,
pick.
I mean, to be honest, he looked good last night. I mean, there was.
You talking about his hair or his car?
Well, yeah, he kind of had it up. He all tucked up, had her there.
Kind of reminds me of Daryl. They got the same haircut.
Daryl got a trim today right before he got here on the podcast.
Body double.
He got just the top and the back. So the sides he leaves a little shaggy, though, right, Daryl? I mean,
comes with wisdom.
Wisdom. That's why Brett has a big. That's why Brett still has a full head. Yeah, same here. Ryan's a little thin. That means he's got a lot of wisdom. Now, Ryan's there. He'll catch up with you, Daryl. But I mean,
so.
Now
I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to go out on a limb and say the opposite. I'm going to say a non-regular Marshalltown guy is going to win it.
What's your pick then, there, Rubber Jaws?
Just somebody that hasn't raced Marshalltown weekly, that doesn't race Marshalltown weekly.
Daryl, you got a shot. Daryl.
There's a lot of good stock car racers in the state of Iowa itself that don't race Marshalltown weekly. I mean, there's every IMCA stock car track's got a good one, a really good one.
Yeah.
The division is just so competitive. The local guys have a little bit of an advantage, obviously, because they know the facility so well. But it's like Boone. I mean, we have runs where you have local guys that win the Super Nationals and win it a lot, like a guy like Logue. And then you have runs where non-local guys,
Californians have been winning it.
Yeah, non-local guys have won the Super Nationals. How many? For how many years in a row?
Yeah, it's been a few.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while.
There's a stretch there.
So we'll see. I think it's going to be exciting.
The pressure is going to be on Jerry to give them a track they can race on tonight. Jerry, what's your prediction on that?
110% 3, 4, 5 wide racing, just like Marshalltown every week can give you. We worked, had a good for practice last night. We worked on it till I think it was about 12:30 when I jumped off the roller last night. We've been watering since about 5:30 this morning on here Thursday, and we'll work her again tonight after the races. I mean, I get to put the promoter hat on. We strive to give the
please put a hat on. Your hair looks like shit.
No, I don't even put a hat on. It's not done, but I mean, it's no different there. We want to give the racer the best racetrack we can give, and we put a.
God,
I mean, we've been out here for a month straight trying to get getting it into shape. For not only the Frostbuster last weekend, but knowing we were going to have a great show this weekend, and then get kicked off with weekly racing at the end of the month. So it's just a lot of time and effort, and money goes into the money just doesn't grow off the tree. We have to sink a lot into the place after the winter. The billboards get tore down, the siding comes off the building, and got to throw a little money at it and Throw some paint on it.
He's really trying to
it to the
make up
ground
for
and-
missing the first hour of the podcast, isn't it? Good Lord.
Well, we are throwing the kitchen sink at Marshalltown tonight. You're going to have the A-team over there. Jim's going to be there. Ryan, are you going over
I'm
there?
going.
Ryan is going over there.
Dan will be there.
Dan is going to be there. Dave is going to be there. I mean, you're going to
You're gonna be home with a bag of frozen peas.
I'm the B team. Yes, me and my frozen peas are going to be hanging out at the house for another night.
Well, if you got a couple extra bags, like I said, we are short. We thought about making some beef stroganoff in the concession stand tonight. But,
Well, there won't be any stroganoff for a while, I don't think.
we're out of peas, and we know you wouldn't have any stroganoff right now, Brett. We figured we'd leave that off the menu.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, that's bad. Why would you say something like that?
Oh, yeah. Did I cross a line, Jim? I didn't mean to offend you.
You know?
Cross the line. Has there ever been a line drawn in the sand on this
This is
thing?
a family-friendly podcast. We can't be saying shit like that.
Oh, yeah, it's the newer, gentler, kindler.
Well, we're probably at our time limit, aren't we here, Nate? How
Yeah,
long have we
about
been
20
going?
minutes ago when Jerry came on.
Oh, yeah, we're well over an hour again. We talk a lot.
That's okay.
You talk a lot,
People
right?
expect that.
I only say important. I only chime in when it's relevant.
Correct. I'm going to babbles.
Well,
Well, Jerry.
you know, we got a few other, like Crystal, you know, once again up in Michigan this week. You know, we've got a few other tracks going on. What do we got? Any broadcasts coming up, Nate? Gotcha.
Oh, in the membership department, Kim wanted me to remind everybody, we know that you're not getting every decal that's on your decal placement sheet. Some of those sponsors didn't provide enough or they didn't provide them at all. So there's no need to call or email if you don't get all of the decals that
GM.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on just the General Motors situation. Just, you know, GM, you know, I mean, they've been very good to IMCA racing since 2005, I think, is when we first forged our first agreement. You know, they do billboard money to all of our racetracks that are putting up the GM banner. They do $250 to every track champion that's using a crate engine in the divisions where we allow it. GM has been very, very good to IMCA tracks and IMCA racers. Contrary to popular belief, we actually do give the money to the racers in the track.
That's
crazy,
crazy talk.
It's kind of like the broadcast money too.
Yeah.
It's like, who'd have thought, that
What
giving,
a novel idea.
What a novel idea to give money to the racers and to the promoters through broadcasting and through our contingency programs. But back to the decals, GM, we ran out of GM decals. We paused on our decal packets. I think the last podcast I said that they were all going to be sent out. Well, we paused right at that point in time, trying to make sure that we were just waiting for the GM decals, and we decided to just send some without the GM decals. So if you didn't get GM decals in your packet, we're going to have them at the facilities. You know, the vast majority, well, not the majority, probably 50% of our racers are using wraps these days, and they're downloading our contingency decals and putting them on the wraps, which is much more efficient for them and for us, to be quite honest. So if you don't have a GM decal, didn't get one in your packet, and you need one, sit tight. You're going to get them.
The plan is
the racetracks will have them when we visit racetracks.
Myself and
everybody
Ryan and Brett are going to split it up, and
we're just going to hand deliver to
We're
everybody.
going to hand deliver, be like Publishers Clearinghouse.
Text Ryan your address, and he'll deliver it himself personally. So every Friday, Ryan's going to be out of the office on a road trip.
That's right.
I'll be like Ed McMahon.
That's right.
But don't fret for those that didn't get their GM decal. We'll get you one eventually. You can always download it off our website and get it yourself, put on your car. But again, you'll need to have that on your race car at the end of the year if you're eligible for the $250 bonus to all of our track champions who are competing with crate engines.
And once again, I don't know when this is going to air, but we'll be heading out to Marshalltown. Is Brad still on with us? From Marshalltown, Brad. Wait.
There he is.
There's Brad.
There's Brad. Brad Van Sickle.
Yeah, there seems to be a breakup. Jim's talking shit again.
His mouth is open. That's a good indication, Jerry.
I got my Jim. Thanks for the use of the green screen, so you can see the inside of the cab of this Beautimus 1967 International water truck that I roll around in.
I mean, look at how fancy that equipment is.
That's right.
You promoters make way too
Too
much
much money. I mean, custom water rigs.
Way too much money.
Trust me, when it's July and it's 100 degrees, if I could ride around in a brand new water truck with air conditioning and brakes, I'd have one.
I swear,
Unfortunately,
the last time
I don't.
I was at
Got these
Marshalltown.
awesome.
I think Toby had some riders in the water truck at one time.
Oh, raccoons.
The raccoons.
I don't know if we ever told that story.
Yeah, so it was a water truck.
Now Henry
Hang on a
Howard,
minute.
too.
It was a water truck just like that. And apparently he got in the water truck one morning to go in. And this is this is why every time I get in a water truck, I bang on the door to make sure there's not raccoons under the seat, because he got bit like 10 times by a mama raccoon. And then couldn't get the door open, so he had to bail out of the window.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was, but I can remember.
That's a crazy story. I don't know if Toby's ever told that publicly or not, but he's told me the story.
Oh, he's told it a lot. He's told it to a lot of people. I mean, it's because everybody will ask him, "Hey, tell us about that raccoon story."
I think
it was
But,
wild.
yeah,
I
I
think he had to get rabies shots because of that, didn't he? Did he have to get
Yeah,
rabies
he did.
treatment?
So that happened on a Thursday night, and he actually went to the ER up here at Marshalltown, and kind of like me, he's not a fan of needles, and they stuck him 14 times with rabies shots.
Yeah.
I think
And then he had to get more.
watering the track could be one of the more dangerous parts of your job, Jerry. You talk to Rob at Abilene, goes out and turns on his water, and there's a rattlesnake sitting there.
Yeah.
I can remember days talking to Uncle Walt in Mojave Valley, and I'm sitting there talking to him. He goes, "Oh, hold on a second." All of a sudden, I hear boom. I just had to shoot a snake.
Yeah, the life of a
I mean,
promoter.
It's easy. Everybody can do it.
Yeah, you talk about water being dangerous. This place, back when Lottie promoted it years ago, the old Dirt Doctor, him and Sarah were riding in the water truck, and you get up, it's 18, 19 degree banking when you get to the top, and you got to make sure you got all the tires in the dry. And Rod missed his spot, and the old Dirt Doctor went over in a water truck, and of course, good water trucks don't have doors. And he told Sarah, of course, Sarah, our scorer there at Boone, he says, "Jump, Faye." She jumped out the side. She jumped out the side and up the racetrack, and he rode the water truck all the way to the bottom, and they ended up full load of water laying in. I think it was turn one, he said, and they had to cancel the races that night, and just rolled her down the hill. Said it was no big deal.
Roger Hayden dumped the water truck one time at Eagle.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time somebody rolled a water truck at a racetrack. It's happened more than we've.
Didn't Mike Conkright roll one over one time down at Thunder Hill?
He might have.
Awesome.
I think Mike did.
I've seen Mike drive, so that's
very likely.
I've seen Mike drive a late model. I think that's very possible.
Well, and that's another thing that's out there. Remember down there at was it at Hutchinson when he got back in the '80s when Mike got in that terrible wreck?
Yep.
And if you ever see Mike Conkright, ask him about it. But he said things got quiet. I thought I was done. I unstrapped the belts, and next thing I know, I got hit wide open. And there's pictures of it back in. I think that day it was like Stock Car Racing magazine, and you'd see there was a photographer up on the top of the grandstands and has a shot into the car, and Mike's literally unbuckled, getting hit, and I mean he's lucky to walk away from that deal. But it was everything's scary around racetrack.
Speaking of walking away, we probably ought to do this from this podcast.
Yeah, speaking of walking away.
Talking about scary, nothing's as scary as the last 30 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Jerry. Well, good luck tonight.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.
What do you got?
We'll see. What do you got, Jim? Wahoo wants to know what sandwiches you're bringing tonight.
I figured you'd run up to Gino's for me.
No, see, you should have stopped and got us something on the way back.
I'm going to have a
Beaver Dam.
141 burger. I always get that.
They're pretty good, actually. I would agree. I like the 141 burgers
I'm
as well.
not going to brag. I'm not going to brag or boast, but we do have some really good concession food here, Jim. So you'll be okay with getting a sandwich here if you miss out.
Okay.
All right.
I'll plan
Well, good
on
luck
that.
tonight, Jerry. Hopefully you have a great turnout. We're anticipating
guys.
a great turnout and some awesome racing tonight. So
See you later. See you too soon, Jerry.
yeah, we'll see you.
All right, see you
All
guys.
right.
Well,
Let's wrap it up.
rep.
That's it.
Yeah, I gotta go
You gotta go apply your frozen peas to your.
apply the peas.
So Marshalltown tonight, Marshalltown tomorrow.
No? Yeah.
Well, they're racing tomorrow.
2-day show.
Keep an eye on the weather for the weekend. Looks
Yeah.
dicey, but
It does around
Yeah,
here.
you never know.
An Eagle had already
He's already canceled for Friday, Saturday.
but
So-
you can
but
get on
it's-
IMCA TV,
You know,
the
the
replay.
weather's like an XR schedule. Just never know when it's going to change.
It's it's getting pretty. Oh, Jim, it's you threw me off with that. I'm speechless. So,
Remember
the
this
weather
for drivers
is,
meetings.
the weather is starting to straighten up around here. So hopefully it gets good here. We're mid-April, and it's going to start getting really hectic in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm sure we'll have another podcast probably next week, maybe. I would assume within the next 7 to 10 days. Well, I'm sure we'll have another
Whenever
episode
Jerry's busy, we'll have our next
have one.
podcast.
Until then, want to thank everybody for listening. Obviously, thank our guest Tim Ward. Thank Jerry for jumping in.
Gerald de
Daryl de France.
Amy Ward. I mean, she made a cameo.
So and yeah. Until next time, we'll sign out.